I'm Alexander Surya Gianni, born June 5th, 1984, mole on the right hand. Penguin duck birthmark. It's 8:37, August 10th. My humanoid idea, called Alexander. One, I don't want any goddamn idiots attempting that who perform highly illegal, unethical, inhumane, unregulated human experimentation, who don't follow the typical standards and procedures and protocols necessary to carry out some certain forms of experimentation. This idea is very sensitive and it's very difficult to do, and in order to even attempt it, you probably have to go through all sorts of oversight committees and jump through a lot of regulatory hurdles. It's not the type of idea you carry out in an unregulated environment, especially with people with zero ethics and zero professionalism. It would have to be carried out in a highly regulated environment. And that's only after going through stringent regulatory hurdles and standards and having all sorts of oversight people approve of this thought and idea to even allow it to even be attempted, because it's probably a very difficult procedure and process, and it could endanger human life potentially. I'm not sure. So yeah, you don't want just some shitbag attempting it. It'd have to be a highly regulated environment, and you'd have to go through probably all sorts of regulatory processes before you could even attempt it. So yeah, that's another key point. And if this is your first time hearing this, zero credibility from these reporters. I've said this numerous times the day I made the idea. So that's another key point. So I'm kind of fed up with these bullshit artists and their misrepresentation and their zero credibility and their fraudulent reporting. It's repulsive now. But yeah, I made Alexander, the humanoid, and I reported it to the UN because these idiots steal from my computer and just give it to fucking these psychopath scientists who just take an idea and run with it and don't even care about the potential consequences. Don't even ponder the dangers of the thought, and they just throw it out there and sell it to some guy who's already demonstrated he's more than corrupt, and all he sees is green, and it's infuriating now. And then they pretend my insights or things I say are theirs, and that's part of their hustle as well. But yeah, I even wrote to the UN about this, so I'm a little more than infuriated. And I was the one saying I don't want that idea to be in any of these evildoers' hands involved with implantation, etc., because they don't think of the consequences of what they do. They carry out procedures and experiments in a highly unregulated environment. They don't have ethics. They don't even know how to perform science, a lot of them. And they endanger human life with their science. So they're not the type of guys to be trying to carry out this stuff. And they don't follow the typical standards and protocols necessary to carry out certain forms of science and certain experiments. So that's why I tipped off the UN about this. And it was me. It wasn't Faryal Shah or whoever, Farhan Shah or Annie and Abby. It was me who wrote to the United Nations, not Nick Tomich or John Tomich. For all I know, I don't even want to say it, but yeah, there's certain people who steal from me, let me put it that way, and they just steal an idea and throw it in without even pondering these things. So it was me who reported this because I was worried about the thought, but it's also an interesting thought because a humanoid is like the holy grail of people, people make androids, robots, this and that. A humanoid would be like the holy grail because they've been trying to make robots as lifelike as they can, and this idea could potentially create such. But it's my idea, and it was my thought. But it's also a very dangerous thought, and all the consequences haven't even been pondered. All the potentials that could occur during procedures haven't been pondered. It was just a 2-second thought, and these kids have already stole it, run with it, started exposing it, and probably, for all you know, some of these idiots are trying to carry it out already without even pondering the consequences, the dangers, without following the typical standards and procedures and regulations and protocols, without having proper oversight. And probably trying to carry out in a highly illegal, unregulated environment. I'm Alexander Surya Gianni. This is another key point and another retarded goddamn debate that I have to put on YouTube since these guys lie about everything I say in my bedroom. More evidence of zero credibility. Praise Jesus.